Here we go. It is the nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. I'm Chad Brendel. He's Aaron Smith. You are going to go to www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Make sure when you're there, you tell them to pump it up. Get your 15% off. You got to do that in-house. That's an in-house deal.
Can confirm.
Yeah, we're getting to the point. We haven't been in a little bit. I think I'm itching. I'm jonesing to get back down to Galactic and get some grub. So I need to get on that this week. Get a couple more spring practices Tuesday and Thursday to take care of. I wanted to first say a big thanks to you and to Brent Young. Outstanding work yesterday at the spring game. Tons of content, more content than anyone. I've thanked you guys on the board. I've thanked you guys on Twitter. I want to thank you guys here. Mick Walker for being at Elite 11. The Bearcat Journal team, here's the thing. Jeff Jennell covering baseball. Yeah. If you want UC coverage and you're not on Bearcat Journal, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You're missing out on the most comprehensive, complete coverage. And this is the part I try to explain to people, Aaron, all the time. And I don't think I get it across enough. It is very easy to cover football season. It is very easy to cover basketball season. But you know when we're at our best? The off season. When everybody else is in cruise control, everybody else is just kind of, ho-hum.
Having babies and not reporting for the Athletic.
Bro, that guy. Paternity leave. But this isn't every off-season thing. He only has a baby like every other off-season. Yeah, he's on a daughter every other off-season cycle.
It's funny because it's true.
He's got a 4, he's got a 2, he's got a 0. So, yeah, love you, Justin. He's probably watching because, all he's doing right now is rocking babies and giving bottles and changing diapers.
I'm trying to find UC content just like the rest of you knuckleheads.
But seriously, the offseason is when we shine because you're going to get basketball recruiting through April, through May, June. Typically, you get football camps, prospect camps, names to watch, commitments, official visits. Like football recruiting has really become a hot topic in June. And then July, we roll back to basketball. And you'll get the summer AAU circuit and the lead into official visits and all those things in the fall. And boy, this is a massive 2023 class for Wes Miller.
Well, I mean, it kind of has to be, right? If you're
if
you're indeed going to the Big 12,
right,
as soon as next year, then
this
one's critical.
I know people are talking about the Big 12 in terms of the transfer portal. Guess what? Those kids don't care, man. Like they're not looking 2-3 years down the road. They're looking right now. Those kids are playing in the AAC when they enroll at UC if they're coming in the transfer portal. Is that a complete detriment? No, but it is something that is still used against them. You know what you can tell the 2023 class? You're going to play in the Big 12. You're going to play in the Big 12. Like that's going to happen. So you can sell a vision. You can sell making a splash, making something big happen for Cincinnati as they jump into that stage. With the transfer portal, you're still selling them like this is what might happen for you. This is what can. This is potentially something where they're looking at like, well, I want to go play in the Big 12 now, right now. I want to go play in the SEC right now.
So do we.
Right. Yeah. No, nobody threw us that bone for this year. Right. Like that's the hard part about and I've talked about this before. There are some people that have a very difficult time with the difference between excuses and reasons. There are reasons things happen. That doesn't make it an excuse. Are there things some things excuses? Yes. Are some things reasons? Yes. Because Cincinnati being in the AAC and not the Big 12, the difference is a reason, not an excuse.
It's not mutually exclusive, those two words.
Right. Do you think it would be easier to tell a transfer in the transfer portal, come play in the AAC this year, or come play in the Big 12 this year? Which do you think they'll be more receptive to? The answer is a reason that things are how they are. Anyway, let's get to the heart of the matter today. Rayvon Griffith, top 5 released. Cincinnati, Ohio State, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA. You guys have I hope he doesn't have his notifications on.
His mentions are bananas.
His mentions are very red and black. Let's just say that. I'll have more. It's probably going to end up being tomorrow. I'm working on not only writing, but working the phones tonight, catching up after the weekend. There's a lot to catch up on, getting some names that, that's April is always fun in the regard that there's a lot of my guy told me about this guy, so I need to go watch this kid. There's a lot of viewing that happens like that. I watched a kid today, a 6'8" small forward from somewhere in Africa. He couldn't have been 140 pounds. Could not have been 140 pounds. He was 6'8". But
that's insane.
But he could handle it. He could shoot it. He was competitive. He had a little toughness to him. You're checking out all these different leads, right?
A little grimy then.
Yeah. Is this kid good? Is he potentially good enough? You know what you also have to wonder now? Does he maybe need to go to a mid-major for a year or two, and then we'll call him?
It's so weird, right? That whole evolution for Cincinnati sports, because we've already kind of gone through that with football, right?
Right.
To where we're already setting the stage to you have to be Big 12 ready to be a part of this class now. The end. But for basketball to be, finally there, right? Because even last season, it wasn't like you're recruiting guys. Are you Big 12 ready? We were recruiting guys last year to, can you play? Are you available today?
Well, the difference in basketball is it's kind of becoming, you would take a kid that you think this is a developmental kid. He's going to need 2 years. Okay. Well, go get your 2 years at wherever, and then in 2 years, give us a call. It's wild how there was potentially a freshman that is not in the portal, and it's is this kid going to transfer or not? I don't know. Maybe it's better take a look at him next year. It's legit. Everybody talked about it when it happened, right? This is going to make the mid-majors the minor leagues.
We're there.
It's kind of what's happening. Some of it's happening in majors. You go to this major program, develop for 2 years. You're not going to play because they're going to have to develop you. And then you're going to transfer because you're going to be pissed. And we're going to get you for years 3, 4, and 5. Or Like, imagine if the transfer portal, like with Trey Scott, hypothetically, right? Trey Scott.
I don't want to. I
comes,
don't want.
comes
I don't want to imagine that world.
right, but this is what's happening. Trey Scott comes to Cincinnati, sits out, redshirts his first year, doesn't play much his second year, and in year 3 is like, I'm sick of this shit, man. Like, Gary's coming back for another year. Gary and Kyle are going to play all the minutes. Like, I got to go somewhere and play. And then somebody gets year 3, 4, 5 of Trey Scott when Cincinnati did all the development in year 1 and 2. That's how, like, that. There's a lot of that that's playing out, and you're seeing it on the road and hanging out with a bunch of my coaching friends and like how they're watching games. I don't think he's good enough for me yet. I think he might be. I'm gonna have to build that relationship with this guy. I'm gonna have to do a little of the legwork. Might not offer, because I know if I offer, he's gonna commit.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, but this is what's happening. Like, this is inside the mind of like how coaches are thinking when they're sitting and watching games. I love, this is my favorite time of the year to just go sit in gyms and watch games with coaches and like get the real feel for like where the sport is at, where things are heading, what these coaches are thinking. It's fascinating to me. But anyway, back to Rayvon Griffith.
Right.
This is a landmark recruit for Wes Miller. We saw it with Mick, with Yancey Gates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar type of hype, had to get Yancey Gates. And guess what? This program does not get back to where it got in terms of national relevancy without Yancey Gates. Luke Fickell, Jarrell White, Josh Wiley, Malik Vann had to get. One when he first got the job, the next two a couple months later in the spring, selling a vision, had to get. Got them done.
Worked out all right.
Changed the trajectory of the program. This is that guy for Wes. And it's funny because going into this weekend, Aaron, I wasn't sure. We talked about it a little last night. And I think a lot of this is the more you watch and the more you talk about it, I think a lot of this was pandemic related, where Rayvon kind of plateaued a little bit. That's what happens when none of the gyms in the city are open and they take the baskets off of the playgrounds, right?
Which still can't wrap my mind around the fact that was a real thing that happened.
That was a real thing that happened. So guess what? It's hard to get better when you can't play. It's hard to get better at basketball. I know this is amazing that for people, like, it's hard to grasp. It's hard to get better at basketball when you can't play basketball.
Fact.
Yeah, right? But as he's gotten back, and if you followed Taft, and I didn't get a chance to get out to see him, but I talked to a lot of people that were watching Taft throughout the year. And they said, you could see he's getting back, like it's coming back. And the feel is
ramping
there.
Up.
And yeah, ramping back up to being, what people thought he was going to be. And here's the part for me, and I've got this in my article that'll come out tomorrow. It is so rare for those kids that he went viral in 7th grade. Well, then you fast forward, right?
Yeah.
And they become a complete player at the end of like their high school journey. Like most of the time, they go viral in the 7th grade. And again, we talked about this last night a little bit. They go viral in the 7th grade because they've developed physically and, he can jump out of the gym and then everybody catches up. And then, he's okay. He's in. But this kid is putting it together. And this is like Wes Miller's got to figure out a way to get this done because it changes the tone in the city, right? Everybody in town looks and says, okay, we got a top 50 kid in town that stayed home and committed to the new guy. And especially with what's going on across town, and you get that guy back he can coach, he can recruit. You know you're going to be in wars with them going forward.
Correct.
Getting into that top 5 and giving yourself a chance to close that out is a big deal for Wes Miller. He's got to find a way to seal the deal and get Rayvon Griffith in red and black. That's the storyline. I know they're on Isaiah Collier, and if they get Isaiah Collier, a 5-star point guard, that's going to be massive, and it'll be a national story. Wes Miller gets first 5-star recruit, da-da-da-da-da. But the bigger story here, to get people on his bandwagon, you've got to make sure you find a way to get Rayvon Griffith.
Well, and I mean, I feel like you can already kind of see some of the. I mean, you see Twitter, you know what people are talking about, whether they're talking about Mick recruiting Cincinnati and what.
Well,
what's he doing recruiting Cincinnati?
Remember, again, go back to this is a kid that went viral in 7th grade. You know, it was still the coach when he became a big-time recruit. It's Mick Cronin. So Mick knows Rayvon.
Makes sense that he's on his radar, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that you have people right now that are starting to parse ways, whether they're on Team West or do we need a new coach? Simply because
give me a break.
I'm just telling you what's out there right now.
Well,
that's
those
simply,
aren't people that are worth listening to.
That's simply because there hasn't been any movement in the transfer portal yet, so people are getting anxious.
Mute those people. Don't listen to those people with their negativity in your life.
So I don't know. I guess I say all that just to say that yes, I think this is very important, because if you do, all of a sudden all the people who were either on the fence or starting to lean the other way are all on board, and you have the entire city ready to ride or die with Wes Miller.
Yep.
Except for that weird suburb known as Norwood, but
oh God, don't get that started in the mentions of this one. Come on.
I do what I want.
I know. All right, that wraps it up. I think that's it's a good stopping point. Sorry for rambling. My brain's all over the place. When you come home from one of these things, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 15 names that I'm like sorting through and like making calls on and trying to, get things situated. Like I love getting out on the road. I love it.
We'll have a ton of conversation for you tomorrow night on the Bearcat Bounce podcast, 8:00 live here on the YouTube channel. So,
yep. Make sure you tune in.
Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn ready. I'll just let you two talk about the spring game. I don't have shit to say. I went there.
Plenty to talk about.
Yep. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. This is the Nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!